breaking it down.
He broke some mallards down today. I did see him do that. Come pop a squat here. You did break him down, my man.
Thank you.
Action. And we're back behind the blind, brought to you by Tetra Hearing. Check them out at tetrahearing.com, title sponsor of Behind the Blind. This is something new that we've started this year, and it's going to continue to progress and get a little bit better as we can figure out what we're doing. But the idea is to make you feel like that you are in camp with us wherever it is that we might be across the country. And it happens to be that we're in Kansas with our friends at Tornado Alley, and it's our first morning, or actually it's our first night here, or second night here, but today was our first day of hunting, and it was an all-day hunt. And the reports were awesome before we got here, that we are loaded with birds, and we are. Now, there's a lot of birds that are here, and we saw that last night with our scout. I wasn't able to make it because my son got a double ear infection, so I wasn't able to contribute to the scout. But once I got here, I saw the footage, and there was several different options. And what we decided to do, because we have some really nasty weather coming in on Thursday, it's possible that we may not be able to hunt. So we thought it might make sense to do a double dip type of hunt. Now, we've done all day hunts before. We've certainly done afternoon hunts. We typically just do morning hunts, but we decided we were going to hunt water this morning with the idea that we were only going to hunt geese, with the idea that there might be ducks working this water, but we weren't going to shoot at them because we were going to have a feed later in the afternoon today where there was roughly 10,000 mallards working this field.
Yeah.
So, Logan?
Well, thank you.
In all fairness, the scout report from the pond was it's full of geese. There wasn't any ducks on it.
Yeah, but we've hunted this pond several times.
Yeah,
and there's
it's
always
one of those
ducks
ponds
using it.
that like they don't ever hunt when we're during their guide season or whatever, and it just so happens like there's never any birds. Like Sean the other day was like, there hadn't been geese on this pond for 3 weeks, and then you guys show up and they're there.
Here they are.
Yep.
Right.
And it's just one of those ponds, it's a good pond when you get in there, and
It's never been bad for us.
Yeah. Well, today was mediocre.
True.
We had a lot higher hopes.
It wouldn't have been if we would have just
to go back to the ducks,
We'll
right?
get to
so
that.
we didn't see any ducks really on there the night before, the day before, whatever, and they hadn't been on there that long.
Right.
But we usually shoot some ducks out of there, but it's not anything like 10,000 mallards in a cornfield, right? And we knew with the weather we wanted to, we might only get a hunt tomorrow, and then Thursday and Friday might just be a crapshoot with 35 windshield.
Shout out to Q. Yeah, the wind chill is going to be
the wind chill.
Probably the coldest that we've ever even attempted to hunt in. I mean, we've hunted in some really cold weather, right? 0, -10 wind chills, that kind of stuff, lots of wind. But I don't know if I've ever hunted in a -40-degree wind chill.
Yeah, and you probably won't be able to, right? We probably won't be able to hunt, but the weatherman's always wrong. He never can get the wind right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've seen anywhere from 1
was
to
a good
30
plan.
inches of snow in the last 2 weeks. So,
but nonetheless, back to the mallards, where we're just sitting there like, okay, we're gonna have this great hunt this afternoon, and then you get that really high group of 25, 30 birds. Those are migrators, right? That we just broke down. Like that's not something that was supposed to be there,
Right.
And normally, obviously, we're taking advantage of that, but we all love the opportunity to shoot mallards in a dry field in the afternoon when it's super cold.
and when
Especially when there's a bunch of them. And we don't get to do it as often as we like to do. North Dakota is a great spot. Canada, that's a little early season. The late season stuff is hard to come by, and this year the weather has worked out perfectly for it.
Right.
There's so many ducks here yesterday, and then, we saw me, Alex, and Dakota's with us. We saw over 30,000 ducks yesterday afternoon in a very, very small vicinity, and we maybe saw 500 this afternoon. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
And
Definitely less than 1,000.
We shot, 10, 12? mallards, and the ones that did it, they did it well. They worked
Right.
very well. It was fun. There's a couple singles. Like, it wasn't a terrible hunt by any means, but it was nowhere what it should have been.
Right.
And
Nor what we thought it was going to be.
so the big question is, what happened? Why?
Where'd they go?
Where are they? Did they leave? I mean, obviously, we have the biggest weather that we have seen in a long time this early in the year coming through the entire country.
Right.
You know, North Dakota, Montana, negative 70 wind chill?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Crazy, 50s, 60s.
So, do those ducks just get out of town early? Because tomorrow's not supposed to be terrible, right? 22 degrees, winds mediocre, but midnight tomorrow night, completely different story. That's when the bottom drops out.
Snow.
Winds blowing, winds out of the north. Tomorrow, the wind's out of the southeast. Today, the wind was out of the north strong. So, are those birds gone ahead of the front? They know what's coming? Or did somebody shoot our staging slough that was next door? I don't think so, because it was leased, and the
feel
farmer
like we
told us
would've
that the
seen
guy
a
only
lot
hunts
more.
it like a couple times a year type deal, you know, and it's a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like that's the time he's going to hunt it.
Yeah, and like you said earlier too, is yesterday when we were scouting, you could sit basically when we were watching that feed there that we hunted, you could look across the sky and you would see birds literally in a 360 degree. You'd just
Every
see ducks
direction.
flying, right? And we didn't see any of that tonight. We didn't see any birds flying.
Nothing. That was the thing. So it's like, okay, well, at the same point in time, their roost, the area they've been is really shallow water. So maybe, I don't know, that froze up on it. We didn't obviously get an opportunity to scout tonight because we were hunting, but
Right.
I just want to figure out if they left or not. And if they did leave, there's probably new ones showing up, right?
Yep.
If they can withstand the weather, or next week, you know, maybe we'll get a little bit of reverse maybe when it warms back up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is just a crazy 4 days that we're going to be experiencing right here, especially at Tornado Alley, because 2 hours away from where we're at, we've hunted here for almost 15 years now.
Had a lot of success.
You know, we know the area very well. We know what's going on. And outside of maybe when Dane and Peter were talking about today from Lifetime Decoys came and hunted with us.
Heyday.
It was a while ago now.
Yeah, that would have been season 2. I think that was season 2
Yeah.
of Heartland Waterfowl.
8 years ago.
That was right around the Thanksgiving time, right after Thanksgiving, I believe. And it was super, super cold.
Right.
But it wasn't negative 25 degree wind chill with 40 mile an hour winds cold. It was 0 degrees with no wind. You know, birds were able to still kind of keep some stuff open. Man, it's so weird with what's going on with the and it was cold here, right? This whole thing is going through the entire country.
Right.
Like, what's going to happen in North Dakota and all the birds in Minnesota right now? I mean, just think of like Fergus Falls. Those birds usually, with the power plant being shut down, it's maybe a little different now, but those birds are usually not out of there and coming to us until late January.
Yeah, middle of January.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even Christmas yet.
Yeah.
And they're negative 75 degree wind chill.
It's been one of the colder like seasons that I can remember.
I'm just
Typically,
glad.
we're
I'm just glad
complaining-
I'm not a goose right now.
So I have a question about that. But first, do we have any clips from? I don't think we do. We don't have any clips from today's hunt. All right. So typically, that's what we like to do here on Behind the Blind. Again, the idea is to make you feel like you're in camp with us, because this is what we would be doing at the end of the day, sitting around talking about today's hunt, talking about the scout from tonight, what we're going to do tomorrow, and going over some of our footage. And we would show that for you. But because we did hunt all day, we weren't prepared to pull those clips to have it available. So in the next edition of Behind the Blind, while we're here at Tornado Alley, we'll hope to have you some of that. But the hunt from today will be coming up very soon, so be looking for that on our Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel. And I also like to remind you that if you subscribe to the Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel, make sure you hit that notifications bell, comment on all these videos, and then go to huntingwithhw.com, because there's an opportunity for you to hunt with us in Missouri with Valley Oaks the first week of February, and we're going to draw that winner here on January 5th when we're with Joe at Five Land and Holding down in Texas. So quick plug for that. Comment on this video. Go to Hunting with HW, fill out your information, and be sure to check out the YouTube video from today. It's coming out very soon. So the question I had for you then is, what do you think? Do you think the birds migrated and they left, or do you think that they just found some other place to feed?
I don't want to believe that they got out of town this early. I figured they would be hardier, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
What do you think, Alex?
It's hard to say, and like part of me leans to, and that maybe not necessarily completely migrated out of town, but definitely in that area that we were hunting, we should have seen more birds flying, right? So whether their marsh that they were staying in froze up and they said we got to go to bigger water or what, we did not see the birds we saw yesterday. So they're not in that area. They're just they
Nothing
can't.
was locked up.
There was
either.
a feed
Like,
of that same size, 2 miles to our north, 2 miles to our east, on the staging water to the southwest of us, and we would have been able to see all of those ducks tonight.
Yep.
And we didn't see them. So what happened? Are they gone?
Right.
Or did something drastic, like did their water lock up on them?
Right.
And they moved to, I don't know, a big lake or something. You know what I mean?
Did you get a chance on your scout to see the roost, to see how big the water was?
I've seen it in the past. Like, I know where they're coming from, but Sean kept saying, so there's a big lake, and then to the northwest of it, there's like a marsh, right? And Sean said the marsh is where they're all sitting.
Okay.
So obviously that's going to lock up faster. But
Sure.
then if they move to the lake, they're still coming off the same vicinity. It's not like they're gone, but I don't know, maybe moved into town. I don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think, Chaz? By the way, we should probably introduce Justin Michaels, also known as Chaz Michaels. His first time on Heartland Waterfowl's Behind the Blind. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what's your expert opinion on what happened with those birds today?
I mean, I think if they really pushed out, like everything would have been locked up. Like it takes the water being locked up to push all those birds out of there.
And the staging sleigh wasn't locked up either. That's crazy.
No.
I figured if, they didn't use it, it would have locked up today. Obviously.
So the
wrong.
conditions, I guess we haven't really touched on this. Maybe we touched a little bit on the temperature. Today it was
18.
Right, low 20s at best, right? And there wasn't a strong north wind, maybe 10 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we had a big 20-mile-an-hour wind that would help
It wasn't
push those
anything
birds
crazy.
south, right?
Right.
And it was nothing, and I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, but we've been doing this long enough to know that it takes a lot, typically, to get the birds to migrate. Now, there is something to be said for calendar birds as well.
Well, yeah. And
And they have a barometer, and you would think that they would maybe, possibly say, hey, we feel like there's something happening here in the next couple of days.
This front's bad. We're getting out
the
of
other
town.
thing, too, is it's not just happening, let's just for say Kansas, right? This is happening in the entire country. Right? Everything north of us, for example, when we were in Alaska, it was warmer in Alaska than it was
here
when you guys were hunting back home in Kansas, right?
Different part of Kansas.
Same exact thing, except for the entire country is having this Arctic blast come in, right?
Mhm.
So that's like the thing that's kind of throwing me off is maybe they are out in front of it,
Right.
Yep.
And then the other big thing is we just didn't see any birds tonight.
Right.
That makes zero sense. And it doesn't matter if they're coming to us or whatever, we would have seen something. Now, granted, we're 10 miles probably from the roost, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're a long ways from the roost, but there's still that many birds, right? And there's too many birds feeding in that vicinity. We're on a higher point. It's not like we're down. We can see a long ways, but we're still not able to see the birds coming off the roost, right? So I don't know. Maybe they just went out east.
It's hard to say, right? Because
Yeah.
we didn't hit the road and be able to scout tonight because we have an idea for tomorrow. And we can kind of talk about that too. Like we can talk about the birds moving on the pre-front and the post-front, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Joe
gonna throw.
Palumbo.
I was literally gonna throw
the
he's
finger
writing
director
stuff
of
on a
Behind the
paper
Blind.
plate, right? He's writing stuff on a paper plate. And he's like,
giving us notes.
I mean, hey, rightfully so, right? You see those birds push out today. More birds coming in. Shouldn't we have seen migrators, right? Or birds at least moving around,
Yep.
right.
So it's like, it's just kind of a weird feeling. Maybe we just got unlucky,
Yeah.
I don't want the birds to leave. I want them to still be there.
Yeah. I don't think with the amount of birds that are in the area, I don't think it's not like we're gonna go out tomorrow and go, oh no, there's no birds to hunt anymore, right?
Yeah.
We'll just find another pocket.
Well, we'll
It's a
find
fluke.
out. I mean, tomorrow will be a tall I mean, we didn't get a chance to scout tonight, so we're kind of leaning on some of the guys from Tornado Alley who went out to scout.
Right.
They saw birds, right? So
We also found that yesterday afternoon. So
Correct.
like we were able to do this, the hunt in the morning, the hunt in the afternoon, and we obviously had a very good idea what we were going to do this morning. That is the only way we were able to do this, is because we got very, very lucky. You know, the field that we hunted this afternoon was a field that those guys have never hunted, have never tried to hunt, and we just got lucky knocking the door, you know?
Yep.
And that doesn't always happen. So we had a bonus hunt, right? So how are we going to try to take advantage of that?
Right.
Not shoot the ducks in the morning.
Well, and we can kind of touch on that subject too, because it is, I literally could feel Ronnie's like, you know, I could like feel you just like gritting your teeth because, to be honest with you, and when you see the footage, it's wild. Those ducks just, I mean, they ate it, right? And we've talked about this later. It's like there are some people like that is it, right? Like that's why you go hunting. You go out and you want the ducks to finish like that. And we saw widgeon, and we had a couple canvasbacks come in, and we had mallards work, and we had ringnecks. I mean, it was a pretty wild mix.
Did you mention canvasbacks?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
And the thing is like, we just were granted. It's cooler than hell to be able to sit there and watch birds finish all the way like you want. And we, you know, we're snapping pictures and getting footage and things, and it's super cool to be. It's not always just about the killing aspect of it. Like we were having fun even watching them, but in a way, it's kind of killing you, right? Because that's it. That's what we go for. You want to decoy birds like that.
I'm trying to be positive as I'm saying. Oh, I was so pissed.
People are going to see it and go,
I was
what
pissed.
are you doing?
That's what, okay, so I had two different emotions that was going through me. It was Ronnie, who loves to duck hunt, you know, the hunter in that situation, and these birds are in our face, big wads of mallards, and all kinds of species of duck, but they're there, like where you want them moneyed up, and we're not purposely not jumping up to shoot them because we think we're going to have this great bonus hunt in the afternoon. The other part of it is, as a producer of the TV show and content creators, like if a waterfowl hunter is watching this, they are thinking, what the hell are these guys doing? You know, like we think we're pretty good, that we're going to walk into these situations, and if it looks good the night before, then it's going to be great the next day.
And Mother Nature
but
comes by and
but how many times does it happen, right? You know, so like when the golden opportunity is there, why are you not taking it? And I was fearful, like people are going to be watching this and they're going to be like, you guys are freaking idiots. You know, but we're thinking, all right, well, we're going to show you in the afternoon, and then we kind of, I don't want to say, listen,
here's a completely different style of a hunt though, right? Like that's why I like the afternoon mallard. Like that was the potential for some giant wads of mallards if it was anything like we saw the night before. That wasn't happening this morning. And that's what I like. You know, I could have shot my limit of ringnecks this morning if I wanted to. But guess what? I will pass on that opportunity. I'll pass on shooting a couple mallards this morning for the potential to see what I saw the night before right in my face, even if that means I only do it one time. You know,
and we talked about it too, is like field mallard hunting doesn't, besides North Dakota, right? There's a couple times that we get to do it, maybe in Kansas or things, but we don't get to do it as often as we'd like. And when you have the scenario that we saw last night with the amount of birds around, the amount of birds using that field, like it just looked like the stars were going to align, and you're going to have that perfect field mallard hunt. You're finishing big watts, and we
cold temperatures, north winds. They're going to want to eat. They're going to feed. They're going to want to be there.
A lot of, you know, like big fat plumed out mallards. You know, like there's just times when you can find 500 to 1,000, but this was a giant feed. You know, it's just one of those things that you have to
gamble on, and
obviously I was the one that really was a proponent of, hey, let's not shoot any ducks this morning, because I wanted to be able to shoot them all tonight.
I know.
You know, I didn't want you to have to go out there and sit there and be like, well, man, I wish I wouldn't have shot 4 this morning. You know, just scratched out 4. You know,
And so I scratched out 2.
Why did I shoot those why did I shoot those ringnecks? You know,
it's funny too, because
hindsight 2020.
Those
right?
first two groups too did it right.
All the groups tonight did it great.
Like,
and the singles,
really
it was a fun
and
hunt.
It was done, like pretty much.
That was one of the things that I wanted to mention on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, I'd also don't want to come on here and sound like a spoiled brat. And truth is, we are kind of spoiled brats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
Very
we're
lucky.
sitting here complaining
Oh,
that
yeah.
we shot 10 or 12 ducks this afternoon, and we saw the ducks that did it. They did it right. It was awesome. They were right in our face, right behind the mojos, you know, and there are a lot of people who might be watching this that would be like, man, that would kill to have a duck hunt like that. And so I don't want to say it was a complete failure. We're just, when you see, it's not very
We were
often. I don't care who
expecting
you
a
are.
lot more.
That's just it. I mean, I don't care who you are, how long you've been doing this. It's not very often that you come across a feed of 10,000 mallards. Like you get excited over 2,000, 3,000 mallards, 10,000 mallards. Like that's,
It was a 40-acre cornfield. You couldn't fit another duck in.
yeah, it's
You
just
know?
ridiculous. So,
And it wasn't just that cornfield. It was all the ones around it too. You
so
know?
we had a good time. We
had
shot.
fun.
It was awesome.
It was fun. The ducks that did it right. It was beautiful. You're going to see it in the episode that's coming out very soon. But when you have that level of expectation, it's hard not to walk away with a bad taste in your mouth, feeling like, feeling a little
what
bummed
could have
out.
been?
Right,
Yeah.
could have been
You know,
exactly.
what could have been? And
It-
why in the hell did you not shoot those ducks this morning?
And that's the funny thing
You know?
is after probably, you get a decent group of mallards coming in, you go, okay, well, we're gonna wait. And then it happened again. And then the canvasbacks came in. And then it happened, more mallards came in. And then by like third or fourth time, it was kind of like inside, I was like, this is Mother Nature's gonna kick us right in our ass later today. Like,
Duck eyes
karma's coming
are not
back
happy.
Here it
because they're like,
comes.
hey, you can watch all this today. 'Cause
Right, right.
Oh, you're going to
But-
do this to me today?
Yeah.
Just wait till Thursday and let me show you what's coming then.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes the storm.
Yeah. But no, it was a fun day. I mean, like I said, we shot 20 something birds on the day. The birds that did it perfectly. Like that's what you want.
That's right.
Yep.
So now, because we didn't get to see the scout tonight, we leaned on a couple of our buddies from Tornado Alley who were able to get out and do some scouting for us. So thank you to those guys. We have a few options that are set up for us. Logan, I was actually dealing with something else at the time that you were talking to Sean. So why don't you kind of explain what the plan is going into tomorrow?
So, kind of like today, we're going to go hunt water in the morning. If we see ducks, we're going to shoot them this time. But basically, almost identical to today, except for if, let's just say, tomorrow morning on the water doesn't work for whatever reason, birds don't fly or whatever the case, we're going to have to probably break a little bit of ice and, get the ice rippers going in the morning. So, open a hole, get in a decent flight line, and if that doesn't work, then we have a few field options. Problem with the field options is the geese on the fields that they've been seeing are just hopscotching everywhere. They're
Well,
not consistent
inconsistent.
with anything, and it's with this weather fluctuation. They might be on beans one night, corn the next night, and sometimes they're flying in the morning, sometimes they're flying late morning, sometimes they're flying an hour before sunset. It's just the geese have been really, really weird. So they want to stick to the water in the morning because it's been more consistent. And now we're running into that fine line of that water, locking up completely. Is it too thick for us to open a hole in the morning? So we're teetering that edge, right? So that's really what it's going to come down to in the morning is, is the water going to be, are we going to be able to open it up enough? Are the birds going to fly in the morning? What are they going to do ahead of this front, right?
Right. And tomorrow's
Are there
weather.
going to be new birds coming in tomorrow? Are those birds going to be leaving? It's just one of those days you just kind of don't know. So we're planning on potentially hunting all day. We're
Yeah.
taking our best option in the morning. We're taking our best option tomorrow afternoon, and we're really thankful we have some options, right?
Right.
But it's just a crapshoot right now with this weather coming in and what's going on right now.
But what we're hoping is that it won't be an all-day hunt and that we'll go in there in the morning and shoot them over the water, and we have the chance of getting at geese and ducks. Sounds like it could be a mixed bag. And we have a stellar morning hunt, and then we can come back, decompress, and then get back out and scout like we typically do
Right.
every night.
Because tomorrow's weather is fairly consistent. It's like
It's better.
33 for a high, or
Little
cloudy all
warmer.
day, south wind at 10 miles an hour, and then at like midnight, it all goes to hell.
Yeah, bottom drops
And it
out.
that's when that north
Mhm.
wind kicks in, 25, 30 miles an hour, and it just gets colder from midnight all the way until tomorrow evening. It just
Negative-
gets colder,
Negative
colder,
9,
colder,
I
colder.
think, tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean the wind chills.
Snow. A little bit of snow.
Or maybe
Possible
that's
snow.
maybe
1 to
that's
3
actually
inches.
Thursday night into Friday is -9.
It's just gonna be nasty.
Yeah.
And so who knows?
And we're
what
getting
that's-
the light brunt of it compared to North
Right.
Dakota and
Right.
everywhere else.
Or even Nebraska.
Yeah,
I mean,
Nebraska.
there's places in Nebraska that are -40 or -50. That should push.
Them geese are going to be, ooh man, not going to be a fun 3 days to be a goose.
So is it something where we consider, because we know that like once these birds leave, it's not like there's not other birds behind them that are
Right.
coming, right?
Right.
So there's a possibility that some birds can move in, but there's got to be open water for them to come in, right? So
The
do we
river-
contemplate talking to Tornado Alley about getting on some of our favorite water holes and putting some rippers out there, opening up some water so that the new birds that do come in, they've got a place to go?
It might be too cold for that. Your hole's
think
going to
so?
be too small, but
And
there's river options for sure.
Mm-mm.
That's the
true,
one.
'cause
That's
I-
the one beauty thing around here. There's some river options. There's not big river by any means.
Right.
More duck options, but
I
there's some
think
place for.
Brandon kind of brought that up that he might have a little.
It's
something
just
up
too
his
early
sleeve.
right now. It kind of just depends on what you're saying. How hard is it going to lock up with this? Because the wind is going to be ripping, right?
Mm.
But it's also going to be super, super cold. So
Yeah, I mean negative actual
is the
temperatures
big
of
is the big
negatives.
water gonna? If the big water locks up, then that's when you need to start looking for the river.
Yeah.
If the big water doesn't lock up, then you might as well just try to find the feeds around where they're going to start grouping up.
Yep.
They're not going to get on that river unless they absolutely have to.
Naturally, when we go on any of these trips, the idea is that we want to put together a minimum of 4 hunts, good or bad, 4 hunts to make an episode for what we're going to do for Sportsman's Channel. But there is a possibility, depending on this weather, that I guess we could still have 4 hunts if you count that we did 2 hunts today, but it may not be 4 days of hunting.
Right.
So we're just going to kind of play it by ear, and you're going to follow along because we're bringing this to you in nearly real time as we turn this around within 12 hours or so from the day.
We're just double dipping every
I'm-
day.
I'm really
pretty
just
much.
praying it's not as bad as they're saying it's going to
Yeah.
be. And that's wishful thinking at this
Right.
point in time. But
Yeah, I mean, I would say typically when we come the same time every year. It's always right before Christmas. It's
Mhm.
a tradition, and sometimes if we're dealing with like unfavorable weather, I guess I'll say, typically it's because it's 60 degrees and no wind, and we're like, oh, it's so warm. Oh,
Right.
there's no wind.
Now we're on
right?
the other extreme.
We haven't had to deal with this kind of weather in December. I don't know if ever.
I don't know if we
I mean,
ever
I know
have.
it's been cold, and it's been cold here, but typically we come here and we kind of have a pretty good plan of what we're going to do for the 4 or 5 days we're here. It's usually pretty consistent on we're hunting some water, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then this week it's like we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants after tomorrow afternoon because you're just basically at Mother Nature's mercy on exactly how cold it gets or exactly how much snow you get or, you know.
and every hunter's experiencing this.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I was just getting
Yeah.
ready to say. I would
Every-
actually.
All of them right
single
now are
one of
going, are we going to lose our birds? Are we going
Right.
to gain birds?
Every
What are we
single
I
gonna
would,
one of
do?
I would really like if you're watching this for you to comment on this video, depending on where you're at in the
Right.
country, because of this Arctic blast is covering so much of the U.S. Let us know where you're at, what state. You don't need to give us your any pins or anything.
Drop a
Although if
pin.
you want to drop a pin, that'd be good too. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, let us kind of know the general vicinity of where you're hunting and what you're seeing. We're talking about, man, did these birds leave on conditions that wouldn't typically move birds out? But I mean, what other explanation would there be for not seeing 10,000 mallards
Right.
or 9,500 mallards, you know, today in that vicinity? So I'd love to get your guys' opinion on that. So comment on this video below and open up the conversation for that. So I don't know. What else? You got anything else you want to add?
No, I think
Not really.
honestly, I have a good feeling about tomorrow.
I do too.
The pond,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in a really good spot. It's got a good flight line. There's birds around, right? They looked at it tonight. So, hey, fingers crossed. We're just gonna be blazing away at whatever comes in tomorrow. Ducks, geese, all the above, and we'll have a fun morning. And we got to get up a little earlier than normal and got a little
Yeah,
work
what is
ahead
that,
of
a
us. but-
3:45 wake up time, you thinking?
Early one.
Gross.
About
We gotta
3:45, 4, somewhere in there.
We got a flying J stop and a drive.
Let's go back to Alaska where you don't have to shoot till 9:30 in the morning.
No joke. No
Yeah,
joke.
congratulations once again to Alex with his Emperor Goose. Actually, all you guys
Say
got
it,
to
Joe.
shoot.
Say it.
Emperor Slayer.
The Emperor Slayer. You got to shoot the Pacific Eiders, and you got
Yeah.
the Harlequin and the Brant. And
Yeah,
am I
it's
missing one? The Longtails. I guess
Yep.
you got
It's
into
been a good month.
Scoters. Did you get
Yeah.
into Scoters?
Yeah, there's plenty of Scoters.
Lots of them.
Plenty of them.
That's really
It was
cool.
fun. It
If
was
you
a good
haven't
time.
seen that, you need to go check out those videos that are out on the Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel. Dakota and Quentin from Marathon Media Management did a wonderful job producing those episodes, and so go check that out. If we don't have anything else, I guess then we'll just go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you again, Tetra Hearing, for being a proud sponsor of Behind the Blind. Keep checking back, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, comment on the video, go to huntingwithhw.com, fill out your information, and win a hunt with us in February with Missouri.
We'll see you in February.
Wow.